Just a few days ago, Chinese military pundits were all over TV, confidently claiming that the US would never actually pull the trigger on Iran. They boasted that if war ever broke out, Iran would only need 30 minutes to wipe Israel off the map. But as it turns out, reality had a much harsher lesson in store for them. The situation has done a complete 180. The actual events served as a brutal wake-up call for those experts. Everything shifted the moment reports surfaced regarding a joint US-Israeli operation, one that put Iran's supreme leader, Khamenei, directly in the crosshairs. This wasn't just a shift in the Middle Eastern power balance. It sent shockwaves straight through the heart of China's internal leadership. Today, we're doing a deep dive into what really went down during Operation Epic Fury, and why the fallout has left the higher-ups in Beijing feeling more than a little uneasy. Hey Tracers, Sean here, welcome back. We've just witnessed a series of events that completely flipped the script on those experts we see on TV. From the massive military operations in Iran to the sudden fall of Supreme Leader Khamenei, it's like the world is watching the collapse of power structures that were once thought to be untouchable. But honestly, the most fascinating part isn't just the explosions in Tehran. It's the silent wave of tension now creeping into the heart of Beijing. What does Iran's fate have to do with the future of China? And why are people there suddenly reaching for words from the past to challenge the present? We're going to break it all down in this episode. Stay tuned, because you never know how deep this hole goes. The combined US and Israeli strike on Iran wasn't some shadow operation carried out under the cover of darkness. In fact, it hit at exactly 8:15 a.m. Tehran time on February 28th. At that very moment, the core figures of the Iranian leadership were gathered for a high-level meeting. This joint military operation, codenamed Epic Fury, was executed on a massive scale. This strike unleashed the full force of the US Navy, the US Air Force, and the Israeli military, the IDF. According to circulating military reports, the operation involved hundreds of aerial assets from both the United States and Israel, all mobilized for a single, massive onslaught. Their targets were mapped out with lethal precision. There was absolutely no room for error. Their primary target was none other than the residential compound of the Supreme Leader, Khamenei, which was under heavy guard by elite special forces. According to reports from Israel's Channel 12, the US-Israeli coalition jets dropped about 30 precision bombs directly onto the compound. Satellite imagery even showed that large sections of the complex had been leveled to the ground. Initially, Chinese state media and official Iranian sources stood their ground, insisting that Khamenei was still alive and completely unharmed. Xinhua news agency even went as far as releasing a report on the night of February 28th, claiming that Khamenei would be delivering a speech within the next few minutes. State media outlets were doubling down, insisting he was safe and sound, without a single scratch on him. But that narrative didn't last long. By March 1st, Iranian state television finally, officially, broke the news. The 86-year-old Khamenei had been killed in the strike. High-level Israeli officials further revealed that Khamenei's body had been recovered and identified from beneath the rubble. And, as it turns out, the reports didn't stop there. The supreme leader wasn't the only casualty of the operation. The Israeli side stated that several senior commanders of the Iranian Revolutionary Guard were also wiped out. US officials leaked that around 40 high-ranking Iranian figures were killed in the strike, including the Iranian defense minister and the commander-in-chief of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps. You could say this was a strike that truly paralyzed the core of power. Khamenei had ruled Iran for nearly 37 years. So, with his death, how did the people inside Iran actually react? If you only followed the official news, you'd see Iran declaring 40 days of national mourning. But if you look at the raw footage spreading like wildfire across the internet, the scene on the ground tells a completely different story. On the night of February 28th, The streets of Iran were flooded with people, the air thick with the relentless blaring of car horns. Massive crowds poured out, singing and dancing. Their cheers of joy shattered the silence of the night. Some videos even surfaced showing citizens working together to tear down statues of Khamenei. As Trump's son, Barron, put it on social media, the Iranian people have been waiting for this moment for years. Looking at their faces, you could see a mix of pure relief and hopeful celebration. In Berlin, Germany, the Iranian diaspora was even more outspoken, chanting, "Bibi, thank you. President Trump, we love you. Thank you, America." For context, Bibi is the widely known nickname for Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu.
President Trump! President Trump! President Trump!
In addition, Iranians across Australia, Canada, the UK, Switzerland, France, and countless other countries also took to the streets to celebrate this moment. In a bold social media post, Donald Trump didn't hold back his thoughts on the situation. He stated, "One of the most evil figures in history, Khamenei, is gone." He emphasized that this wasn't just justice for the Iranian people, but for everyone around the globe who had fallen victim to the brutality of Khamenei and his henchmen. Trump even went as far as sending a direct message to the citizens of Iran. Your moment of freedom is finally within reach. Once our operation is complete, the power to govern will be in your hands. This might be the only chance you'll get in generations. Netanyahu also released a video calling on the Iranian people to unite and take to the streets to finish the job and finally topple the regime. Watching their close ally fall, the Chinese government's official reaction could be described as the fox mourning the death of the rabbit, a sense of dread that they might be next. This comes despite the fact that, as mentioned earlier, the pundits frequently featured on Beijing's state media had just been mocking and boasting that America would never actually dare to strike Iran. Now that Khamenei is gone, netizens in mainland China have started ruthlessly tearing into those experts with sharp, biting sarcasm. Some have even started calling them out by name, from military figures like Zhang Zhaozhong and Li Li, to Jin Canrong of Renmin University, and Zhang Weiwei and Shen Yi from Fudan University. People are asking, how is it that these experts keep getting it so wrong, yet they're still being put on a pedestal? But the best part came right after. CCTV, China's state broadcaster, actually forgot to disable the comment section when they dropped the news of Khamenei's death. As a result, the post was instantly swarmed by netizens, leading to total absolute chaos in the comments. Instead of joining the official state mourning, the comments from Chinese netizens were filled with a celebratory, festive vibe. Just look at some of these. Congrats, congrats. The whole world is celebrating. This proves that surgical strikes are the most civilized way to handle things, and even taking out a general in the middle of thousands of troops, impressive. This is exactly how war should be fought. Reacting to Iran's announcement of 40 days of mourning, one netizen quipped, "Great news like this should be celebrated nationwide for 40 days, right?" Another was even more blunt. "Another country moves towards civilization. Congratulations." For many observers, this wave of comments shows that public opinion has become completely disconnected from official government propaganda. You might be wondering, why are Chinese netizens so fired up and excited about what's happening in Iran? On Chinese social media, as the news from Iran went viral and took over everyone's feeds, there's one question that keeps popping up more than any other, becoming the absolute most popular topic of discussion. After Maduro and Khamenei, who's next? In early January of this year, U.S. Special Forces launched a surprise raid on Venezuela, successfully capturing President Maduro alive. Less than 2 months later, Iran's Khamenei was taken out in a precision strike operation. To the outside world, this chain of events looks like a falling line of dominoes. Analysts point out that this domino effect began in Venezuela and moved to Iran. Now, some are even speculating that this pattern could spread to other major geopolitical players. Iran plays an absolutely crucial role for China. Experts on Chinese affairs point out that within the Belt and Road Initiative, Venezuela served as Beijing's spearhead in Latin America, while in the Middle East, that role was held by Iran. What's more, over 90% of Iran's oil exports flow directly to China. One independent political observer provided a perfect metaphor for this situation. One observer described Iran as a strategic bulletproof vest for Xi Jinping. Beyond absorbing pressure from the Middle East, it also secured China's future energy reserves. Now, this bulletproof vest has been stripped away. Without that strategic buffer, Xi Jinping will be forced into a direct confrontation with the United States, all while facing a total lack of energy security and being completely surrounded by geopolitical pressure. The situation took an even more awkward turn when the White House confirmed that Trump is scheduled to visit China at the end of March. Originally, Xi Jinping had hoped to use this visit as a show of political support to bolster his authority and strengthen his standing within the party. Now, Trump is arriving in Beijing with the aura of a winner, fresh off the back of settling scores in Cuba, Venezuela, and Iran, while Xi Jinping's trump cards are rapidly disappearing. Expert analysis suggests that in the upcoming negotiations, Xi is bound to be in a weak position. If a deal is reached, it will be the Chinese side that inevitably has to make the most concessions. International pressure is only one side of the coin. Inside China, public anger is reaching a breaking point and is becoming harder to contain. Many felt that the recent Lunar New Year was completely hollow, as if the holiday had lost its soul and its festive spirit entirely. An interviewee from Henan revealed that the streets were eerily silent, with almost no one coming out for the traditional New Year greetings. Why? Because people are flat out broke, jobs are drying up, and the collapsed real estate sector has left construction projects rotting in place, everyone is just struggling to keep their heads above water. He described 2025 as a year of pure survival for ordinary Chinese citizens, and as they face 2026, they feel completely lost and uncertain. Young people see no hope. They feel that no matter what they do, it's a losing game. At the same time, the public is increasingly fed up with the corruption within Chinese officialdom. It's an open secret among the common people that nowadays, joining the party is solely about chasing power and status, and even then, you have to pay your way in with tributes and bribes. The interviewee shared that now, no matter where he goes, whenever people sit down together for a meal, all you hear is them venting their rage at the government. They're cursing everyone from the top-tier leadership all the way down to the low-level village officials. The ultimate symbol of this sentiment is a banner that recently appeared on the streets of China. It reads, "All reactionaries who claim to be powerful are actually nothing but paper tigers. The reason is simple. They have become completely disconnected from their own people." The irony is striking. These words were actually spoken by Mao Zedong back in 1946. Now, the Chinese people are using the words of the Communist Party's own founder to strike back at the current regime. This shows that everyone is actually fully aware of what's happening, even though they're currently held back by the authorities' ironclad control and systematic grid surveillance. It's incredibly difficult for the Chinese people to organize large-scale resistance, but as that resident from Henan put it, the resilience of ordinary people in China is like a spring that has been compressed to its absolute limit. Eventually, it's bound to snap back. This year, traditionally known as the Year of the Red Horse, Chima, has historically been a harbinger of great turmoil and upheaval. Now, deep down, the common people feel that something massive is about to happen. Everyone is waiting for a major shift. In short, the US-led coalition's precision strike on Khamenei didn't just create a turning point for the Middle East, it sent an unprecedented chill through the Chinese regime, which has long relied on its alliance of dictators. As the strongmen in Venezuela and Iran fall one by one, the cheers from Chinese citizens in the comment sections are actually the clearest reflection of their own hopes for the future. In your opinion, now that China's bulletproof vest has been stripped away, how will they handle the pressure from Trump moving forward? And when will the domestic anger in China finally reach its breaking point and explode? The The rapid collapse of major powers in the Middle East and Latin America in such a short time is clearly no coincidence. We are witnessing a drastic shift in the global power map, where old alliances are crumbling one by one. Do you think, tracers, that this is the dawn of a new era of global freedom, or rather the start of even greater uncertainty? Will this pressure truly bring total change to these long isolated nations, or do they have other ways to survive? Please share your thoughts in the comments below. Let's discuss this together. Thank you for tuning in to today's analysis, and I'll see you in the next one. And as always, if you're still watching this, maybe you're looking for the same thing I am.